Today we gonna finally reflect on the biggest controversial game of the 20th century, I would say, Assassin's Creed Shadows. It is finally here. It is it's the 19th. It comes out tomorrow for everybody, and I cannot wait to get my hands on it and review the game. Now, looking back to all the backlash and all that stuff, and then the reviews are in, I think we got a good one on our hands. Now, I don't know if this will be considered a big win for Ubisoft, but it's a slightly win. But it's a huge win for gamers and not about to say a W, and an L for the drifter that's in the gaming community. So now we can slowly kind of clean up the gaming community from the people that constantly want to say bad things about video games. Now, the biggest thing was, black. That was the biggest thing. That it was a black samurai in the game. But lo and behold, Ubisoft did what they had to do, and they created something good. Now, I don't know if we kind of bullied them to make a really good game when it comes to Assassin's Creed Shadows, but they was Assassin's Creed, bro, and Ubisoft as a whole, they needed this for Assassin's Creed because they were taking L's all 2024. 2025, they have to do something different. So we're gonna get our hands on it, and we're gonna keep streaming until we beat the game. And also, make sure y'all check those videos out, because once I get my hands on it, we gonna go all the way through it, and I'm gonna try to enjoy it. I'm not gonna look at too many reviews. We're gonna check out IGN. But the good thing is that them boys had got good numbers all around, almost like a 80, 82, 85 overall. They was giving some 9s, 8s, 7s, and some 4 out of 5s. So overall, Assassin's Creed Shadows did pretty decent. So we're gonna check out IGN review on the game, but if you want to see an unbiased review on the game, make sure y'all gotta check out my streams when I stream it tomorrow. And let's just check IGN out real quick. See what they guys gotta say about Assassin's Creed Shadows. Did we already did this? Did we already do this? We done this before. Huh? Did we already do this, buddy? You took them all.
Wild that it took almost 20 years and dozens of games for the biggest stealth action series around to finally bend towards feudal Japan. Assassin's Creed Shadows makes the most of that theme, with a great pair of shinobi and samurai heroes sharing center stage that are fun to skulk through giant castles or wade into vicious battles with. Besides the setting, the bulk of the changes this time around focus on making smaller tweaks to well-established systems, such as less cluttered maps and skill trees, while also doubling down on things that really worked in 2023's Assassin's Creed Mirage, like the more focused combat that accompanies its better-paced main quests. It's not a perfect reset, as imbalances and missed opportunities abound, but I feel more confident than ever that Assassin's Creed could be back and here to stay.
And once this is done, I will never take up the sword again. Let us get this over with.
Like a river in the rainy season, Shadow's story overflows with cliches and tropes. But morally complex intersecting plots still keep the intrigue high, which is the same trick that made Assassin's Creed Valhalla's stories work when they did. I don't think I was particularly wowed by any of the writing on a regular basis, but there are some standout moments of tense reflection and curious happenings sprinkled throughout.
Who is behind these murders?
I don't know.
The typical Assassin's Creed conspiracy woven into it fits perfectly within the war-torn Sengoku period of Japan too, like a hidden blade snugly in its wrist sheath. It's still a bit too full of go here, do that quests as bridges between major moments, but Shadows is organized in a way that can be enjoyed in pieces and at your leisure without getting too lost between plot points. Almost like how one might enjoy a good book. The leads themselves are wonderful. You spend a lot of the early game with the sharp-witted and brooding Naoe, who is among the last shinobi warriors of the Iga clan, a role thrust upon her by tragedy. That tragedy befell her in part by the hands of the charismatic Hulk Yasuke, who is a tireless warrior for justice and peace. When they begin working together, they are frequently each other's most reliable counsel, with different perspectives on the events going on around them.
Perhaps in that chance lies the seed of redemption for each of us.
In other words, they truly do balance one another. And while I don't think either one would win popularity contests against some of the other series stars like Ezio or Edward, together they serve as a bright light in the center of a largely dark tale of revenge. Most of the missions in Shadows starts on the refreshingly intuitive objective board. Thematically, this approach matches the tone of using all of the information you gather to identify hidden members of a secret society trying to plunge Japan into chaos.
Hey, that's decent. I like that. Almost like a hit list. I like that. That's decent.
Functionally, the way it organizes outstanding tasks and the people involved is far more useful than the old bulleted quest lists. Selecting a quest gave me a short list of clues to help discern where the objective was. Past Assassin's Creed games have tried versions of this before, but this one is the first one that I felt consistently made me look at my map and actually deduce where the spot in question might be. Rather than lighting up your map with a galaxy of tooltips, Shadows mostly relies on sparse points of interest icons to push you towards the areas you'll need to see in person. Even when you climb up to the signature high points to take a good long look at your surroundings, you'll see a bunch of these things that tell you that there's something out there, but you're gonna have to go check them out for yourself to know what. I love this. I could feel my brain starting to detangle the checklist conditioning that years of these games have instilled in me. Most of these undiscovered locations fall into a number of reliable categories, like castles you can infiltrate and attempt to steal special gear from, or any of the many villages scattered across Japan. But you can't be sure unless you take them in for yourself. A common thing I would always stop to handle whenever I came across them were world activities. These are smaller locations and events that, when completed, add knowledge points to your characters, adding new options to their skill trees. Not all these events are exciting, but they often don't take too long and the points are worth it in the end. And some can add an interesting distraction from the action for a short spell. Between outings, I spent some time at the hideout. After collecting minerals, crops, and wood out in the world, you can use those resources to build and upgrade important buildings here that give you access to new assets. I spent the majority of my time at the forge managing my equipment, while other important buildings provide features that can be managed in places outside of the hideout, like the new summoning ability from the dojo, which let me call in help from certain allies I met during my adventure. I'm glad I didn't have to dote on this place very much, as I personally can't be bothered to decorate a homestead. But those who can won't be disappointed by the amount of cosmetics available to find and buy.
Really? Okay. So they even giving you cosmetics.
This version of 1500s Japan is a beautiful place. There's such a symphony of color over every hill and across every lake. Each season brings with it incredible landscapes, sometimes covered in the copper brown of autumn or entombed in deep white snow. I found the weather to be some of the best I'd ever experienced in an open world.
Really?
It was hard not to be moved watching powerful winds pick up and bring in rolling thunderstorms,
okay,
especially when nature reacted to it all in real time, as flocks of birds take flight and ground critters scurry to find safety. And not for nothing, but in my dozens of hours in Shadows, I encountered remarkably few bugs for a game this size.
Nice. I mean, hey, they said that the delays was for to fix the bugs and stuff. So hey, that's good. That's good.
The 40-hour main story revolves around unmasking
40
and
hours?
eliminating members of a deadly organization called the Shimbaku. Once you've chosen a target, the
Hold on, did he say
multi-mission
that?
arcs give you regular unmasking and eliminating members of a deadly organization called the Shimbaku. The 40-hour main
The 40-hour main story?
story
Woo!
revolves around unmasking and eliminating members of a deadly organization called the Shimbaku. Once you've chosen a target, their multi-mission arcs give you regular opportunities to handle the situation with either Yasuke's might or Naoe's stealth. While there are certainly scenarios where one is more useful than the other, in general, there are remarkably few quests where Naoe isn't better suited for the task at hand.
I'm not allowed here. I should be quiet.
If the Assassin's Creed playstyle is a combination of concepts like exploration, parkour, stealth, and combat, Naoe can do all of these competently, excelling at parkour and stealth in particular.
Right.
While Yasuke can't climb very well or sneak around much due to his size and general lack of grace.
I meant to do that.
He is a devastating force in combat, but Naoe can simply sneak around most situations that Yasuke would cut his way through, solving them with so much less trouble. As much as I like Yasuke, he's far more limited and one-dimensional, with large parts of this game not quite designed to take advantage of his strengths. It's particularly disappointing because Shadows does find ways to tailor missions around both of their skills on occasion, usually in bigger, more pivotal, and more important battles where both heroes need to operate together to succeed. These special
Nah. That can't be disappointing. Everybody was upset. It needed to be historically accurate. So if they had Yasuke as a demon on here, everybody would have been mad about that. So, don't be disappointed about that. Y'all did that. Come on now.
Special missions are separated into sections that allow you to choose which character to proceed with, changing what's asked of you depending on your choice. It's awesome, and made the more homogeneous space between these moments a real bummer. Combat overall is more challenging and thoughtful than in the past. Enemies, especially in groups, are more aggressive and tend to have solid defenses, both in that they block a lot, and also in that many of them are armored, essentially giving them another life bar. Effectively taking them down means having a solid defense of your own, dodging and deflecting their blows to make them vulnerable, and taking advantage before they recover, though the camera can really struggle to keep all of the action in frame. Straightforward combat encounters really sing when playing as Yasuke, whose suite of weapons are all perfect for decimating enemies. Even outside of his toys, he's a juggernaut of a man, being able to literally run through walls and shake the earth with his blows. Naoe is very fragile by comparison, and while capable of doing lots of damage when enemies are vulnerable, she gets overwhelmed easily by mobs, especially well-armored bruisers. On the flip side, Naoe is a menace when striking from the shadows or catching enemies unaware. There are some new features, like being able to crawl and dodge while prone, as well as some returning ones, like her eagle sense and the long-missing double assassination, all of which add up to make Naoe one of the most robust assassins in the series. Enhancing your combat abilities is mercifully less tedious than Valhalla's skill constellation. Naoe and Yasuke have skill trees focused on their weapons and specialities, with every node feeling far more impactful than simple passive damage bonuses, which still exists, but in small amounts. Gaining new abilities is obviously the most impactful, but some of the real hidden gems add new functionality to weapons, like being able to turn certain attacks with Naoe's chain sickle into grapples that let you pull enemies into obstacles or off of cliffs. Speaking of excess, Shadows takes a big step backwards from the work done around your inventory in Valhalla or Mirage. There are far too many pieces of randomized, color-tiered gear to pick up from fallen foes or earn as forgettable quest rewards that had no chance of making it into my rotation. Some might do as last-minute stopgaps to keep your stats in line with the bad guys, but only until you find that next piece of legendary gear or earn enough resources to level up a piece you already like. The skills in legendary gear, like this armor that has a chance to negate range attacks entirely, are impactful in a way that the generic buffs that you get from the lower tiers of gear never even come close to. Assassin's Creed Shadows takes a flashing blade to the series' established norms, trimming them to a more precise form in lieu of chopping them down outright. Combat is aggressive and requires more intentional parrying and skill management than in the past. And exploring the gorgeous provinces of Sengoku period Japan is encouraged thanks to a revamped map that de-emphasizes collecting icons and checking off lists. Naoe and Yasuke are well-realized and memorable protagonists, even though most of the story they drive follows pretty predictable paths. Both have unique playstyles that bolster each other's weaknesses, but they are ultimately imbalanced by the fact that you can make use of the stealth and exploration skills of the master shinobi far more than the superhuman strength of the samurai. This isn't the Assassin's Creed that will change the minds of folks who have never connected with the series before. But for those of us with lots of hours logged into the Animus, the sum of Shadow's parts provide a refreshing realignment that you should not skip. For more action,
I don't know about that ending part. I feel like if you play the Assassin's Creed series, you'll be comparing it to all the other ones more than if this were your first one. So I don't think so. But now, if you're a fan of samurais, then that's a different story too. Cause I'm a fan of that. I'm a fan of Japan's samurai. So this is going to be good for me. Like it's going to be a good playthrough, man. Guys, that was IGN. They gave Assassin's Creed Shadows an 8. So make sure y'all guys check out my stream once we get our hands on Assassin's Creed Shadows. But let me know how y'all feel about the game. The reviews came out. Is y'all guys still going to get it? Or y'all just going to watch it and discuss it in Twitter Spaces? But I'll see y'all guys in the next video. Peace.